Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 146 based on novel. Swallowed Star 2 novel continue writing by the author, so video length will be short. So let's start. The years pass by. A black flying boat had already begun its return journey, heading toward Yulon City. Inside the front hall of the flying boat, Emperor Qing was piloting the flying boat, observing and sensing the surroundings. Luo Feng sat beside him, the bionic eye of annihilation at the center of his brow wide open, surveying the vast expanse in all directions while also feeling a bit emotional. It's been over 700 epochs since I arrived in Yulon City, and this is already my third hunt with Emperor Qing. Yet, my Tao of life and death still hasn't broken through to the early stage God Emperor, Luo Feng sighed inwardly. 700 epochs was a long time. On the origin continent, it had taken Luo Feng only 500 epochs to grow from an eternal true god to someone capable of slaying Emperor Yuan. For paths like life and destruction, I could reach the early stage God Emperor with just a bit of cultivation, but merging the two is far more difficult. Luo Feng shook his head lightly. He had consumed various auxiliary cultivation treasures and had the Eye of Life and Death to observe vast amounts of low-level chaotic origin life-form materials. He was also aided by treasures like the Indestructible Heart, the Eye of Life and Death, and the Star Tower, making his progress incredibly rapid. But the Tao of Life and Death was simply too vast. Brother Luo Feng, I originally thought that after our third hunt, I would break through to the middle stage God Emperor and finally be on par with you, Emperor Qing said, still feeling quite emotional. Who would have thought that your strength has taken another huge leap compared to our last hunt? I merely created a new physical body method, Luo Feng replied. This physical body method of yours is truly terrifying, Emperor Qing marveled. I had just reached the middle stage God Emperor, and when we joined forces, I never expected that we would actually be able to kill a middle stage God Emperor level chaotic origin life form. Luo Feng smiled. Indeed. During their third hunt, they had killed a total of 7 early stage God Emperor level chaotic origin life forms and 1 middle stage God Emperor level chaotic origin life form. You faced that flame beast head on with your physical body, holding an overwhelming advantage. I was merely providing support, and yet you managed to forcibly kill that middle stage God Emperor flame beast, Emperor Qing still vividly recalled the scene. Luo Feng had displayed a formidable physical body technique, his entire body clad in a layer of blood-colored scales with terrifying defensive capabilities. The flame beast had launched a frenzied assault on Luo Feng, but his external scales only developed minor cracks that quickly healed. Yet with every strike from Luo Feng, the flame beast would sustain massive wounds. Luo Feng used one hand to restrain it while the other unleashed relentless attacks, with rolling waves of blood sweeping through, making escape impossible for the flame beast. Emperor Qing had merely assisted with a sword formation, adding a few crucial strikes, allowing Luo Feng to ultimately kill the flame beast. My physical body is only comparable to a middle stage God Emperor level chaotic origin life form, Luo Feng said with a smile. That was indeed the case. Luo Feng's techniques for offense and defense were far more profound, and he was aided by 2 great secret treasures, allowing him to completely suppress the flame beast in every aspect. To have a physical body nearly equal to a middle stage God Emperor level chaotic origin life form is already terrifying, Emperor Qing remarked. Their advantage lies in their physical bodies, whereas our advantage is in our comprehension of realms. With your level of comprehension, wielding such a physical body means you can already hunt middle stage God Emperor level chaotic origin life forms one-on-one. Typically, middle stage God Emperor hunting teams consist of at least 3 members, with experienced middle stage God Emperor Tao cultivators working together in groups of 6 or 7, Emperor Qing said. And yet, looking at you, Luo Feng, are already at an extremely high level among middle stage God Emperors. Emperor Qing praised him, though his emotions were complicated. He had thought that after his breakthrough to the middle stage God Emperor, he would finally qualify for an equal split of the spoils. By the way, let's split the loot this time 70-30, Emperor Qing said. Didn't we agree on 50-50? Luo Feng looked at him. They had agreed on that before setting out. At the time, Luo Feng had even borrowed some Hunyuan crystals from Emperor Qing to purchase a secret treasure formation diagram to aid his physical body cultivation. I never expected you to single-handedly kill a middle-stage God Emperor level chaotic origin life form, Emperor Qing said. Last hunt, I took advantage of the split, but not this time. A 70-30 split is fair. If it were an 80-20 split, given the contributions made, Emperor Qing wouldn't have had just 1/5 of the share. Taking 30% felt sufficient to him. Luo Feng looked into Emperor Qing's eyes and understood his reasoning, then smiled and nodded. All right, 70-30 it is. Over 700 epochs had passed in Yulon City. Although he had yet to break through to the early stage God Emperor in the Tao of Life and Death, Luo Feng had accumulated vast experience in his cultivation journey. He had even created secret techniques incorporating the Tao of Life and Death. The strongest of these was inspired by the blood-colored scales of the Star Tower and the powerful physique insights from the indestructible heart, leading to the creation of a physical body technique known as the indestructible blood seed body. This technique was Luo Feng's highest achievement in his current cultivation path, allowing his physical body alone to rival middle-stage God Emperor low-level chaotic origin life forms. I've only just begun to explore the mysteries of the blood-colored scales of the Star Tower and the indestructible heart, yet I was able to create such a technique, Luo Feng thought. Once my comprehension advances further, this physical body technique can be even more refined. His previous physical body techniques relied on formless, intangible transformations, but now, his body depended entirely on his own understanding. The path of life naturally involved a deep exploration of such matters, making it relatively smooth for Luo Feng to comprehend. Luo Feng's growth rate was truly terrifying. As his teammate, Emperor Qing had a clear sense of it. It's only been a short 700 epochs since he arrived in Yulon City. At first, his strength was slightly inferior to mine. But now, he is already considered one of the strongest among middle-stage God Emperor Tao cultivators. If he takes another step forward, won't he become a middle-stage God Emperor Tao cultivator himself? The ancestors of the two nations were only at this level of strength. This was the talent of the absolute top elites across countless worlds. Emperor Qing secretly sighed. On the origin continent, he was incomparably dazzling, but compared to the vast number of experts across numerous origin worlds and billions of other worlds, he could only be considered 1 in 10,000. Within a single reincarnation era of the origin world, Emperor Qing had already become a middle-stage God Emperor Tao cultivator, which was undoubtedly astonishing. In Yulon City, there were only tens of thousands with this level of strength, including many old beings who had cultivated for endless ages. I can be considered 1 in 10,000 within the Nine Rivers sacred world, but this Luo Feng is at least 1 in 100 million. Emperor Qing thought to himself. The black flying boat continued its flight. After reaching the middle stage of the God Emperor level in the Tao of Space, Emperor Qing's ability to perceive the void had greatly improved. Emperor Qing carefully sensed his surroundings. Everything in the surrounding world seemed normal, with clouds rolling in the distance and dust swirling from the earth. We've fallen into a formation. Emperor Qing transmitted his voice to Luo Feng. Luo Feng remained expressionless on the surface, but inwardly, he became alert. I haven't detected any danger. Luo Feng's bionic eye of annihilation was also observing. This is a very powerful void technique. The transition of space is extremely natural. I only realized it after falling into the formation. I'm turning around immediately and escaping at full speed. Emperor Qing transmitted. The enemy hadn't acted right away, they were patiently waiting for them to go deeper into the formation. But the moment they turned to escape, the enemy would likely strike immediately. Whoosh tilde tilde the black flying boat suddenly turned around and shot away at an extremely high speed. Buzz. A massive phantom of a formation diagram appeared around the flying boat, enveloping it in a layer of sword light. The sword light wrapped around the boat, accelerating its escape significantly. They noticed? Quite perceptive. A massive painting emerged in the void, covering an immense area. Within this vast painting, the black flying boat that Luo Feng and Emperor Qing controlled was just a tiny black dot. Trying to escape after entering my secret treasure? A cold sneer echoed from the surrounding void. Rip. Above the black flying boat, a pair of giant hands suddenly condensed into form. These enormous hands erupted with life's profound mysteries, forcibly tearing open a rift within the massive painting. The black flying boat immediately shot through the gap and escaped the painting. 5 figures stood at different positions, watching the escaping black flying boat. Turns out, it's a few friends from Guile workshop. As the black flying boat disappeared, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing revealed themselves with a polite demeanor. Luo Feng also observed the 5 figures positioned in the distance. The first time the 3 major looting forces attempted to steal his treasure was when he encountered the looting squad from 10,000 Shadow Building at the insect nest. This time, he had encountered Guile workshop. He had now dealt with all 3 of the major looting forces. The leader of Guile workshop cultivation methods are very special. He calls himself the Guile Realm Master, and his methods are extremely ruthless. His subordinates are much the same. Luo Feng was naturally aware of some general intelligence about Guile workshop. Emperor Qing, your sword formation, and the large hand that just escaped from the secret treasure painting, looks like you both have reached middle stage God Emperor level. The 5 figures observed Luo Feng and Emperor Qing. Are you all following the usual rules? Emperor Qing asked. Being able to escape the ambush was already proof of their strength. According to the rules, they only needed to pay a fee, essentially a toll fee for the looting squad. Dealing with these 2 won't be easy. A tall figure transmitted, let's take the fee and let them go. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng were previously recorded as early-stage God Emperors in intelligence reports. Even if they've broken through to middle stage, it hasn't been long, and their foundations are shallow. A grim man with a blood-colored vertical mark on his forehead transmitted, we 5 middle-stage God Emperors have worked together for a long time and have rich experience. If we join forces against them, our chances are very high. They are both from the origin world. Even if we destroy them, they may have clones. Those from the origin world sometimes carry very special treasures. If we can seize even one, we'll profit immensely. The grim man transmitted. Upon hearing this, the other 4 were all tempted. Indeed. Compared to the free-range cultivation in billions of other worlds, experts from the origin world had access to far more resources, special life form remains, innate secret treasures, even treasures exchanged from the infinite space. These were all things that the experts from billions of worlds coveted. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing became extremely vigilant. Rules? Outside Yulon City, there are no rules. The grim man sneered. Today, both of you must die. As his words fell, black rain began to appear, covering an infinitely vast area. Within this vast area, the enormous painting reappeared, once again enveloping Luo Feng and Emperor Qing. They want to kill us. Emperor Qing's expression changed dramatically, his eyes filled with madness. When encountering looters, not all of them followed the rules. If they disregarded the rules, it became a pure jungle law of survival. Emperor Qing, I'll take on 4, you take 1. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed with cold killing intent. This video will end here.